Our leak has been fixed. Hoorah! Hello there, this is Rich from HouseBarons.com. My brother Dave and I renovate houses along with Dave's son Caleb. And today we're going to show you how you can replace a flush valve. So I've been on the struggle bus with this particular toilet. It has a leak and I've actually made 3 different repairs and it's still leaking. It's super frustrating. So I'll show you what's going on here. You see how the water's shimmering there? There's a slow leak. And so periodically, like every, I don't know, 15 minutes or half an hour, the float will go down because of that leak, and then it adds more water, and it's super loud and annoying, and it happens all day and night. So this is, not only is it annoying, it's also a waste of water. So if you have a leak like that, you definitely want to get it fixed. There's really only so many parts to a toilet, and as I said, I've fixed 3 of them, so that only leaves 1, which is what we're going to work on today. So as you look down in here, if you've got a leak, the easiest thing to do is replace that flapper. Over time, the flapper can wear out, and so you just go to the hardware store and pick up a new one of these and replace it. And we've got a video about how to do that. It's super easy. But anyway, start with that, because if that's your problem, well, these are just a few dollars and the job just takes a minute or 2. Oh. There it goes. That's it. That's exactly the noise, and it does that all 24 hours a day. So anyway, so it wasn't the flapper. So the next thing I thought it might be, this is the fill valve. This whole unit here is the fill valve, and this is the flush valve assembly. I suspected there was something wrong with this fill valve. So I went ahead, and this is the old fill valve, and I took that out and I replaced it with this wonderful new one, but it was still leaking. So then I had another idea that underneath the flapper is a thing called the flapper seat. That little black ring there is the flapper seat, and it is possible over time that could become cracked, worn out. Just a little debris could have gotten caught in it and etched it or something, and it could be causing the slow leak. So I went ahead and I bought this flush valve repair kit, and all it is, honestly, is just a new seat. So you can see it there in the picture, that you're giving the flapper a new seat to rest on, and I thought surely that's going to fix the problem, but no, it did not. So that only leaves this one component here, which is the flush valve. I bought this nice kit here from Fluid Master. There's its number. I'm hoping this is going to be the solution to the problem. If not, I'm going to have to replace the actual toilet tank. But anyway, we'll give this a go. Hopefully this is going to fix all of our toilet leak troubles. If you're new to our channel, consider subscribing, because we want to show you how to do a job yourself so you can save a ton of money. Isn't that right, Claire? You know, it might seem intimidating to remove your toilet tank, but this is definitely a job you can do, and you should give it a try before hiring anybody. Okay, the first thing we need to do is remove the lid of the toilet. Next, we're going to shut off the water supply, and that's just down here beside your toilet. Turn it to the right, clockwise. Now we're going to flush the toilet, and we'll leave the flapper open because we're trying to get as much water out as we can. Okay, this job involves removing the toilet tank, so we need to get all of the water out of the tank, and we're just going to do that with a sponge. At the bottom here is about 1 inch of water, but let me remove the flapper. I wanted to show you something here. You can see that it's dripping, and so I've got some kind of a seal leak that's below the flapper seat, because yesterday I noticed that when it goes down about another 1/4 inch, then the leak stops. So anyway, that's why I believe when we replace this flush valve, we're going to have our problem solved. So now we can get in there and mop out the rest of that water. Okay, so there we got all the water out of it. Okay, now we want to remove the supply line from the tank. And to do that, you just unscrew this plastic nut. A little water might trickle out. It just means you didn't get it 100% dry, but no big deal. You can just wipe that up. Okay, so now the supply line is disconnected. All right, now we need to remove whatever bolts are holding the toilet tank onto the rest of it, onto the base. And you can see down in here, there's 2 bolts. There's one right there, and the other one is on the other side right there. So we're gonna use a flathead screwdriver just to hold that in place. We're gonna unscrew it from below where you can see these wing nuts. Okay, so there's the wing nut, and that's been removed. And then there's a couple of washers here. There's a metal washer, and there's a rubber gasket. So I'm gonna remove all of those. Now we're just gonna do the same thing to the other side. Now we can remove the tank simply by pulling straight up. So there, the tank is free. Okay, now we need to remove this gasket, and it just kind of pulls off. We're Amazon affiliates, and we're going to put a link in the description below so you can pick up your own Fluid Master Universal Flush Valve Kit. This is called the Flush Valve Lock Nut, and we need to remove that. So if your kit didn't come with this cool little wrench, then you're going to have to get something to remove this lock nut with. In order to remove that, we're going to take these 2 bolts off, and to do that, we'll just put a flathead screwdriver down in there and undo the bolts. Okay, so removing those bolts, and then there's metal washer and a rubber gasket. So then we can just remove those 2 bolts. They just pull out of there. So now we're going to use this really awesome wrench that came with our flush valve kit. And see, look at that. Fits perfectly. And then just unscrew that lock nut. All right, cool. The flush valve is loose. Okay, so this is the refill clip, and we just disconnect that guy. It just pulls off. All right, now we can pull out the old flush valve, which is this guy, and he's the guy that's caused us all these problems. I will not miss him. So I don't know, maybe there was something wrong underneath there. Just not a good seal anymore. Oh well, he's dumpster bound. Okay, so here is our new flush valve assembly, and we need to, there's a little piece of cardboard under the flapper on the new one, and we need to get rid of him. Okay, so we're gonna take the new flush valve and just place it in the tank. The overflow pipe is toward the back of the toilet. All right, now we need to adjust the overflow pipe, its height. And this is kind of unusual, but so here's the tank lever right there. It's the thing you flush with. And the tank lever hole is right there. So we need to measure down 1 inch from there, and that will be the top of the overflow pipe. With this kit, they actually give you a little ruler right there, and you can measure down and see how far down the lever hole is. Our overflow pipe needs to be below that line. So ours needs to come up about 1.5 inches. So to adjust the flush valve height, we twist to unlock it, and then you pull or push, depending on if you need it to go up or down. It still needs to come up a little bit. All right, there you can see the line that I drew. So we just want to make sure the overflow pipe is a little bit below that. And then we're going to twist this to lock it into place. Now it's locked. Okay, so we placed the flush valve assembly back into the tank. Now we're putting the friction washer, which is that little cardboard thing. Then we're going to hand tighten our lock nut. You have to reach inside, push the flush valve down so you can hand tighten the lock nut. Okay, so that's hand tight right there. Then you're supposed to take the wrench a half turn beyond hand tight. Okay, but don't crank on it because you could break it. Okay, so that's hand tight. And then we're gonna go, there's a quarter turn. There's a half turn beyond hand tight. All right, so they want you to identify your gasket. This is the one that we took off, and this one looks the most like it. This one is used for a Kohler toilet. So we're gonna use this red one. We're gonna put the red gasket on. It's gonna cover, we need to cover this lock nut. Make sure that is nice and secured all the way around. All right, that looks good. Next, replace the tank bolts. Then reinstall the tank. The tricky thing in plumbing is always that you want things tight but not over tight because you could crack this porcelain toilet. So we're just alternating, hand tightening these bolts, doing that one and the next one. I just keep going back and forth there until they're hand tight. We're going to tighten it a little bit more. You just want it to be tight enough so this tank isn't rocking. All right, now we're going to connect, this is the refill tube, and we're going to connect it to the overflow pipe. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to connect the flapper chain to this tank lever. And there's usually a couple of holes to choose from, and you want to connect it to the hole that's right over our flapper, which is this one right here. When the lever is down, we want the chain just to be slightly slack. They say to leave about a ½ inch of slack, so the chain looks roughly like the letter J. Okay, so we've connected the chain there. And there's just a little bit of slack in it. Now we're going to reattach the water supply line. We'll turn it counterclockwise to the left. And just hand tight, don't over tighten it, don't crank on it. But it's just make sure it's nice and tight. And it feels secure. All right, it's the moment of truth. We're gonna turn on the water and check for leaks. So turn that to the left. All right, so I just filled it back up with water, and good news is there's no leaks, and the fabulous news, I'm about to jump up and down because you can see the water isn't fluttering anymore, which means our leak has been fixed. Hoorah! Okay, I'm going to turn the water supply back off because I want to show you just one adjustment you can make, and it's actually on the flapper. So there's a little dial here, and it's got numbers of 1 to 9, and it's right there on the dial. Right now it's set to 9, and so that's going to give it more water. If you turn it to a smaller number, you'll get less water when you're flushing. So you just set that dial to whatever works for you. All right, so we have a functioning toilet once again. If you got anything out of the video, if you could hit the thumbs up button, that really helps out our channel. We appreciate it. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because we have a ton of home improvement videos on the way. Thanks much for viewing, and we'll see you in this video.